The text came at 6:43 p.m. on a Thursday. Family meeting, 8 p.m. tonight. Everyone needs to be there. This is urgent, Dad. I stared at my phone, a cold smile forming. Urgent. How interesting. It had been 14 months since my wedding, 14 months since every member of my family had declined my invitation. My sister Rachel's text. Sorry, can't make it. Your backyard wedding isn't really our scene. My brother Marcus. Not worth the drive for a basic ceremony. Mom's email. A casual outdoor wedding just isn't special enough for the family to attend. Dad never responded at all. My wedding had been beautiful. 50 guests in gardens my family thought I'd rented. White roses everywhere. String lights in ancient oak trees. Daniel and I exchanged vows at sunset while our friends cried. Not one blood relative showed up. Now, suddenly, an urgent meeting. I knew exactly why. That morning, the Lifestyle Channel had featured my 12-acre lakefront estate on their Most Spectacular Estates episode. They'd revealed its $5.5 million value, interviewed me about purchasing it as a distressed property for $1.8 million 3 years ago, and filmed every restored room. They'd also shown footage from my wedding in those same gardens. The segment went viral. By noon, my phone had exploded with messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. I texted back, I'll be there. I pulled up at 7:58 p.m. in my Range Rover. The driveway looked like a luxury car show. Rachel's Mercedes, Marcus's BMW, even Aunt Linda's Lexus. I grabbed my leather briefcase and walked to the door. Victoria. Mom's voice dripped honey as she opened it. You're here. Everyone's waiting. The living room was packed. Mom, Dad, Rachel and her husband Brad, Marcus and his fiancée Jennifer, Aunt Linda, Uncle George, and Cousin Stephanie, all staring at me. There's our TV star, Aunt Linda gushed. That estate is breathtaking. I didn't move. Last year you said I wasted money on an old house in the middle of nowhere. Her smile flickered. Sit down, Victoria. Dad's voice was commanding. We need to talk. I'll stand. I set my briefcase on the coffee table. Your text said this was urgent. What's going on? We saw the show, Marcus said. The estate looks incredible. Thank you. $5.5 million, Dad said slowly. That's quite an investment for someone living beyond their means. I remembered that conversation 2 months before my wedding when he lectured me about fiscal responsibility and poor life choices. Mom leaned forward. Honey, we're worried. Surely you're heavily mortgaged? The debt must be crushing. Why would you assume I have debt? Uncle George scoffed. Nobody your age owns something like that outright. You're overleveraged, aren't you? That's why you had that small wedding. I almost laughed. Is that what you think? It's obvious, Rachel said gently. We're not here to judge. We want to help. Brad and I think you should sell before the market turns. How generous. Brad added, a known agent who could list it next week. I opened my briefcase slowly. Before we continue, let me ask something. Why didn't any of you come to my wedding? Silence. I sent invitations 6 months early, called each of you personally, and every single one of you had an excuse for why my wedding wasn't worth attending. That's not fair, Rachel protested. We explained that a backyard wedding wasn't special enough. I finished. Not a real celebration. Too basic. I looked at each of them. What changed between then and now? Marcus shifted. Come on, we didn't know. Didn't know what? That the rented cottage was my estate? That the basic backyard wedding took place in gardens featured in 3 national magazines? You never told us. Rachel's voice rose. I invited you to see it. Multiple times. Mom was too busy. Rachel said it was too far to drive. Marcus never responded. Dad's jaw tightened. We're not here to discuss the past. This is about helping with your financial situation. My financial situation. I placed a document on the table, the property deed. This is fully paid off. No mortgage. I own it outright. Uncle George grabbed it, his face going pale. You really? Free and clear? Really. I placed down another paper. Last month's appraisal. The estate is now worth $6.2 million. It appreciated $700,000 since the show aired. Mom's hands shook. How did you afford this? I worked for it. I pulled out more documents. This is my company, North Star Property Development, Historic Restoration and Luxury Estate Management. Marcus leaned forward. Your company is worth. This says $23 million. $24.7 million as of this quarter. Stunned silence. My basic wedding you all skipped? It cost $180,000. The flowers were $15,000. Michelin-starred chef. String quartet from Carnegie Hall. Rachel went white, but you said it was casual. Casual meant intimate. 50 guests, no stuffy ballroom. I smiled coldly. But definitely not cheap, and absolutely not basic. Why didn't you tell us? Mom whispered. I did. I said I was restoring a historic estate. You called it an old dump. I said I was building a business. Dad said I was playing entrepreneur. I invited you to my wedding at my estate. You said it wasn't special enough. I pulled out my phone and showed a photo, me in my Vera Wang dress, standing before the estate fountain with Daniel. Golden hour light. Cascading white roses. Symphony gasped. That's your wedding? The basic ceremony you skipped. I swiped through more photos. Crystal chandeliers. 7-tier cake. Vintage Rolls Royce. I didn't hide anything. I told you what I was doing. You chose not to believe me. You decided my wedding wasn't worth attending because it wasn't in some pretentious country club. Dad's voice was tight. If we had known, you would have come. I laughed bitterly. That's the problem. You'd have come if you knew it was expensive and impressive, but not because it mattered to me. That's not true, Mom protested weakly. No. Remember Marcus's engagement party? Hampton Inn conference room with grocery store cake. Marcus flushed. I flew in from Seattle, brought a $500 gift, stayed until the end. I looked at my brother. Your party cost maybe $2,000, but I was there because you're my brother. That's different, Marcus muttered. How? How is it different? It was my engagement, and mine was my actual wedding. My voice rose. But you couldn't drive 2 hours because it wasn't worth it. Rachel stood. This isn't fair. For what? For skipping my wedding? You should feel guilty. We didn't know you were successful. Because I'm your sister, you're supposed to support me even when you don't understand. I was shouting now. When someone you love invites you to their wedding, you show up. You don't analyze if it's fancy enough. Complete silence. I took a breath. You're right, you didn't know. Because you never asked. I pulled out more documents, spreading them like cards. Riverside property downtown, $3.8 million. Another. Willow Creek Manor, $2.1 million. Another. Hartley Building, $4.2 million. Another. Riverside Inn, $1.9 million. I kept going. Garden District Properties, $6.7 million. Lakefront Cottages, $2.3 million. Victorian Mansion, $3.4 million. Uncle George frantically calculated. That's over $25 million. $28.9 million actually. I placed the final document. Portfolio statement for Northstar. Total assets, $52.3 million. Net worth, $44.2 million. Absolute silence. Jennifer whispered, $44 million? My company is. Personally, I'm worth about $31 million. I said it like discussing the weather. Not bad for someone who plays entrepreneur, right, Dad? Dad looked struck. Next month, Forbes features me on their cover. Young entrepreneurs in historic preservation. I snapped my briefcase shut. So why are we here? You saw me on TV, realized I'm not the failure you assumed, and now you want in. That's not. Mom started. Don't lie. My voice was ice. Dad, what's the real reason? He deflated. The business is struggling. We need investors. When we saw the show. How much? $500,000, Uncle George said quietly, for dealership expansion. And you thought I'd just write a check after you skipped my wedding? We made a mistake, Rachel said. We're sorry, but we're family. Family helps each other. I stared at her sincere face, but sincerity after seeing someone on TV wasn't the same as sincerity when that person needed you. You know what Daniel and I did on our wedding night? We walked the gardens at midnight, and he held me while I cried because my family couldn't show up for the most important day of my life. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Daniel's family was there. All of them. From 6 different states. His 87-year-old grandmother with her walker was there. Because that's what family does. I picked up my briefcase. You want to know what else? They didn't ask how much it cost. They didn't analyze if it was special enough. They just showed up. Victoria, please. Dad stood. The $500,000 you need? That's less than I spent on my wedding. The wedding you skipped. I let it sink in. I could write that check right now. Hope flared in their eyes. But I won't. Hope died. Because you don't help family. You help family when it's convenient, when it benefits you. I opened the door. I learned that 14 months ago at my reception, staring at the empty table where you were supposed to be. Please, Mom's voice broke. We're sorry. You're sorry now. But not when you RSVP'd no. Not when I called Mom crying the night before. Not for 14 months of silence. I pulled up a photo on my phone and placed it on the table. The empty table for my wedding. 8 empty chairs. A card reading family. Untouched place settings. I set this up with Hope. Hope you'd surprise me. Daniel wanted to remove it so I wouldn't be hurt, but I insisted. Mom cried openly now. Every guest saw that empty table. Do you know how humiliating that was? I picked up my phone, but Daniel's family moved over to sit in those empty chairs. By night's end, that table was full of people who chose to love me. That's beautiful, Stephanie whispered. It taught me something. Family isn't blood. It's showing up when it matters. Victoria, Dad's voice was desperate. The business will fail. Is that what you want? I stopped at the door. You know what I wanted? My family at my wedding. Mom helping pick my dress. Dad walking me down the aisle. Rachel as maid of honor. Marcus giving an embarrassing toast. I looked back. I wanted what Daniel's family gave without question. Some no. I don't want the business to fail. But I won't be the ATM you remember only when you need money. It's not like that. If that show never aired, would we be having this conversation? Silence. That's what I thought. I left as chaos erupted behind me. My phone buzzed. Daniel, how did it go? Exactly as expected. Coming home, making your favorite dinner. I love you. I love you too. As I drove away, text flooded in. Rachel, please reconsider. Marcus, can we talk? Mom, you're breaking my heart. Dad, money has made you cruel. I typed back to Dad. No, money just made you notice me. That's not the same thing. Then I blocked them all and drove to my estate, my beautiful paid-off $6.2 million estate with memories of a perfect wedding. Daniel stood on the front steps, backlit by warm light. How was it? He asked. Educational. He hugged me. I'm proud of you, for knowing your worth. Inside smelled like home and fresh flowers. Our dog, Maisie, bounded over. Wedding photos covered the walls, showing the truth about that magical day. One final text came from an unknown number. Victoria, this is Aunt Linda. Some of us really do want to make amends, not for money, just because we miss you. I saved her number. Prove it. Show up. Not because of what I have, but who I am. When's your next Sunday dinner? This Sunday, 6 p.m. Come alone. I'll be there. That Sunday, Aunt Linda came with flowers and homemade pie. No money requests, just real conversation and genuine apologies. It was a start. The rest? I haven't spoken to them since. My company just closed a $12 million hotel renovation. Forbes published a feature. Daniel and I are celebrating our 2nd anniversary in Italy. And I haven't missed them once. Because I learned from that empty wedding table. The people who show up when it doesn't benefit them, those are your real family. Everyone else is just related by blood. And blood is thinner than I thought.